fight last night at the fight. It was beautiful. Clarissa, you did what you supposed to do. All that Zeus shit before, I wish I would have got there late where I would have missed all that Zeus clown show shit. But Clarissa, nothing can take away from your night. You did it, you sold it out, you showed up, you had Lotto with you. Bro, listen, you did your thing in Atlanta. There's no other woman boxer that's doing that. You are the GOAT. You are the fucking GOAT, okay? You did your thing last night. I'm super proud of you. Just like you said on your post, I've been supporting you, but I'm just so happy for you. I'm just so happy that you doing it your way. Black women, the ones that's mad that she's not light-skinned, bruh, support her. This is what a real black woman is, a real queen, and we got.
All right, today we're diving into Clarissa Shields, and yes, the drama surrounding her keeps getting more complicated by the minute. Depending on who you ask, she's been labeled Pap's mistress, Pap's entanglement, Pap's pick-me, or simply the side chick. And as Chris Cyborg famously put it, some people clearly feel like it's duck hunting season. There are several major points we need to unpack in this video, so stay with me because there's quite a bit going on. First, we're checking Remy Ma's latest iTunes position and looking at what may have caused the song's sudden movement. Then we're getting into an alleged petition connected to Geisha 305, and I'll walk you through exactly what that petition claims and how many signatures it has reportedly collected. After that, we have to talk about Steven Jackson, because some of his recent comments about Clarissa Shields' critics and so-called haters raised some serious questions for me. I'm going to explain why I completely disagree with his perspective and why I think viewers should look at the bigger picture before automatically taking sides. I also owe you guys an apology for my previous Clarissa Shields video because I didn't realize there was some overlapping audio toward the end of that recording. That was my mistake, and I sincerely apologize for the confusion, y'all. Thankfully, you were still able to understand what I was saying and follow the points I was making despite that technical issue. And honestly, you guys are part of the reason I keep catching things like that, because you absolutely hold me accountable. None of this content would be possible without your continued support, your views, your comments, and the fact that you keep participating in these conversations with me. So, with that said, let's start with Remy Ma's current iTunes position, because you guys deserve to see the actual numbers for yourselves. And I'm genuinely curious about how this happened, because when the song first dropped, it was performing dramatically better during those opening days. It initially reached around number 3, then briefly moved down to roughly number 4, before climbing back toward number 2. And after that, it started falling steadily until it reached around number 91. Now let's be real, number 91 is a major drop when you're comparing it to where the song started. This is especially noticeable because the track had already spent several days sitting around the top 3 and top 4 positions, so the decline is definitely something worth watching. Hopefully, Remy Ma can keep the momentum going by releasing the official music video, because that could generate another wave of attention, bring fresh viewers to the song, and potentially help push its iTunes ranking upward again. And there's another possibility that could change the conversation completely, because Remy Ma has previously indicated that her album could arrive soon. I remember her saying that she wanted the project released around the end of the month because she was trying to stay within the eligibility window for Grammy consideration. Remy's point was essentially that recognition matters when you put serious work into your music, and those accolades can become part of how that work is remembered. But for now, I simply wanted to give you guys the latest reported iTunes position for Remy Ma's song, Wanna Go, and encourage anyone who supports the record to keep streaming it. Hopefully, we could see another push this week, because there was already some strategic promotion surrounding the song. Remember, Remy released the teaser on the same day Clarissa Shields fought Kay Scott. And there was reportedly even a billboard truck circulating around State Farm Arena promoting the song and upcoming music video. And according to the discussion around the project, Amanda Serrano and Alicia Baumgardner are expected to make cameo appearances, which could bring even more attention to the release. So that's the latest on the music side of things, But now we need to move into the petition, because this is where the story takes another turn. Geisha 305 has reportedly put together a petition, and we're going to go through the details rather than simply repeating the headline. If you're interested in seeing it for yourself, I'll pin the petition link in the comments so you can review it directly and decide whether you want to sign. According to the petition posted on change.org, the headline reads, "Return Hannah Gabriel's title belt." At the time this video was being recorded, the petition reportedly had around 630 signatures, so clearly some people have already decided they want this issue addressed. The petition argues that in professional boxing, championships and titles represent the highest achievements of a fighter's career and symbolize years of preparation, sacrifice, dedication, and success. It specifically presents Hannah Gabriel as an experienced and respected professional boxer whose championship belt represents far more than a simple trophy. According to the petition, that belt represents Hannah's journey, her accomplishments, and the position she worked to establish within the boxing community. The petition then claims that a series of events resulted in Hannah being unfairly stripped of her championship belt. It says Hannah Gabriel was scheduled for a highly anticipated rematch with Clarissa Shields in July 2023, a matchup that had boxing fans interested because of the history and competitive stakes between the two fighters. The petition claims that Hannah's opportunity to reclaim the title was suddenly derailed because of what it describes as an inaccurate drug test result. According to the petition, that result damaged Hannah's reputation and prevented the planned rematch from moving forward. It further claims that the test result was later determined to be inaccurate and that Hannah was ultimately cleared of the doping allegations. The petition argues that despite that reported vindication, Clarissa Shields has continued holding the title belt and questions whether that situation is consistent with the principles of fairness and sportsmanship in boxing. The petition goes even further by arguing that Clarissa should either agree to the rematch or return the belt if Hannah was cleared, although that is the petition's position and should be distinguished from independently established facts. Its central argument is that Hannah should not be denied the opportunity to settle the matter inside the ring, especially if the original allegations were later overturned. The petition calls on Clarissa Shields to give Hannah Gabriel another opportunity to compete for what supporters describe as her rightful championship, or alternatively, return the belt in question. It argues that the integrity of professional sports depends on fairness and says Clarissa should not be portrayed as having definitively earned a victory over Hannah if the circumstances surrounding the matchup remain disputed. The petition also emphasizes Hannah Gabriel's long commitment to boxing and argues that she deserves an opportunity to prove herself competitively, rather than having her career defined by an issue she says was resolved. Ultimately, the petition frames the entire situation around respect, justice, fair competition, and the integrity of the sport. Supporters are being encouraged to sign because the organizers believe public pressure could persuade the relevant parties to revisit the situation and address what they consider a serious injustice. The petition concludes by asking boxing fans to stand behind Hannah Gabriel and support the idea that talent, effort, and competitive achievement should ultimately be recognized fairly inside the sport. So that's the basic information behind the petition. And again, anyone interested in reading it or deciding whether they want to participate can find the link pinned in the comments. Now we have to move over to Stephen Jackson's comments about Clarissa Shields, because this is where my personal reaction becomes much stronger. Some of you may recognize Stephen Jackson from his prominent public activism and media appearances, particularly following the death of George Floyd and the conversations that followed. But as someone who follows the NBA, I also know Stephen Jackson for his basketball career, including winning an NBA championship with the San Antonio Spurs in 2003. He was also involved in the infamous Malice at the Palace, alongside his teammate at the time, Ron Artest, now known as Meta Sandiford Artest, an incident that resulted in Jackson receiving a lengthy suspension for the remainder of that season. Jackson also previously served a 7-game suspension connected to a domestic incident involving his then-wife, according to reports, and he has faced other legal controversies during his life as well. Those past incidents are part of the public record, but they should not automatically determine whether his current opinions are right or wrong, and that distinction matters when discussing someone's credibility. Still, I find it interesting whenever certain public figures step forward to defend Clarissa, because critics have pointed to past controversies surrounding some of her supporters, including legal disputes and other allegations, and they use those histories to question the defense being offered. But even there, we have to be careful, because a person's past does not automatically make every opinion they express invalid, and the real question should always be whether the argument itself holds up. If we're going to keep it completely honest, nobody gets a free pass simply because they're famous, respected, or willing to speak loudly on someone else's behalf. And if someone is going to defend Clarissa, I think viewers should judge that defense based on the facts and the strength of the argument, rather than blindly following the person delivering it. You may also recognize Steven Jackson because he and Matt Barnes co-host the popular podcast All the Smoke, which has given both former NBA players a significant platform beyond traditional sports media. The podcast has created opportunities for them to speak with major names across entertainment, sports, and politics, including high-profile guests such as former President Barack Obama. So that gives you a little bit of background on Steven Jackson before we get into the part that really matters. Now let's hear what Steven Jackson actually had to say about Clarissa Shields, because after that, I'm going to break down his comments and give you my honest thoughts on whether his argument makes sense.
Hey man, I had a wonderful night last night at the fight. It was beautiful. Clarissa, you did what you were supposed to do. All that Zeus shit before, I wish I would have got there late where I would have missed all that Zeus clown show shit. But Clarissa, nothing can take away from your night. You did it, you sold it out, you showed up, you had Lotto with you. Bruh, listen, you did your thing in Atlanta. There's no other woman boxer that's doing that. You are the GOAT. You are the fucking GOAT, okay? You did your thing last night. I'm super proud of you. Just like you said on your post, I've been supporting you, but I'm just so happy for you. I'm just so happy that you doing it your way. Black women, the ones that's mad that she's not light-skinned, bruh, support her. This is what a real black woman is, a real queen, and we got it.
Clarissa Shields recently reposted a video from Steven Jackson, who is also known by the nickname Stack, and thanked him publicly for showing his support. She tagged him while saying she appreciated the support and encouraged him to continue calling these women out. But I have several questions here, because some of what Steven said does not seem to line up with the reality surrounding this entire situation. Steven Jackson, if you were criticizing the Zeus Network undercard featuring Ray J and Baddies personalities as nothing more than a clown show that had little to do with legitimate professional boxing, then how can you turn around in that same conversation and heavily praise Clarissa? Because if this was truly such a major boxing event centered around one of the greatest fighters of all time, why was a Zeus Network undercard needed in the first place? Clarissa's name and reputation alone should have been enough to generate serious interest and potentially fill the arena without needing Zeus Network personalities to become part of the promotional strategy. We saw Baddies personalities, Ray J, and Orlando Brown being connected to the undercard concept, and that appeared to be part of the original effort to create additional excitement around the event. The idea seemed to be that having Zeus Network involved would help bring its audience into the building, but when that strategy apparently did not produce the expected results, actual boxers were added to strengthen the undercard. And even after that, the promotion still appeared to need another boost, which is where the celebrities and entertainment angle became even more important. So why are we supposed to treat this particular fight like some massive achievement when so many people already expected Clarissa to win? Why was there so much emphasis placed on a matchup against an opponent whose professional experience was extremely limited, and who was also publicly associated with OnlyFans modeling? If you are going to call yourself the greatest, then shouldn't the standard be beating the greatest competition available? If the opposition repeatedly consists of older fighters, fighters with serious past health concerns, or opponents with limited professional experience, then why should every victory automatically receive the same level of praise? Yet from my perspective, the media narrative often focuses almost entirely on the fact that Clarissa won, as though the word victory automatically ends the conversation. The win becomes the headline, the undefeated record becomes the talking point, and suddenly all the surrounding context disappears. But context matters, and the facts surrounding a matchup matter just as much as the final result. There is also another part of Stephen's argument that deserves serious examination, particularly when he brings race and black women into the discussion. Because when you start suggesting that criticism of Clarissa is primarily rooted in colorism, I think you have to explain exactly what evidence supports that conclusion. From what I understand, Stephen's current wife is described as racially ambiguous, and that makes his comments about black women particularly interesting to examine. I believe his first wife was a black woman, and I also believe the woman connected to Basketball Wives, who was reportedly expected to marry him, but ultimately did not because of a disagreement involving a prenuptial agreement, was black as well. And now, after reportedly taking several years before marrying his current wife, Stephen is married to someone he describes, or others describe, as racially ambiguous. So when you are now criticizing black women for not supporting Clarissa and suggesting that colorism explains their opinions, I think people naturally have questions about what exactly you are trying to argue. Are you seriously suggesting that if people consider Laila Ali one of the greatest female boxers ever, particularly among black female boxing fans, their opinion is somehow based on her having lighter skin? Are you also suggesting that people support Alicia Baumgartner because her complexion is lighter than Clarissa's? Because if that is the argument, then I think the evidence simply does not support it. The criticism surrounding Clarissa Shields, at least according to the commentary being discussed here, comes from much more specific issues involving her public behavior and the way she has handled conflicts outside the ring. Critics argue that Clarissa has chosen to build significant public attention around her relationship with a married man and has repeatedly engaged in public situations involving Remy Ma. They also accuse her of repeatedly provoking Remy, attempting to get reactions from her, and even adopting certain styles associated with Papoose's wife, Remy Ma. Critics have pointed to alleged similarities in the way she dresses, presents herself, and even speaks when discussing these comparisons. And that is only one piece of the larger criticism being presented. Another major reason critics say they have problems with Clarissa is the way they believe she interacts with people online, including strangers who have never personally involved themselves with her. They point to alleged one-sided conflicts involving other black women, such as Laila Ali, Franchon Cruz, Shadeja Green, Alicia Baumgartner, and Remy Ma. They also bring up the controversy involving the black mother connected to a toy drive, where critics allege that Clarissa reconsidered providing gifts for 4 children after having a disagreement with their mother. So, according to this line of criticism, the issue many black women have with Clarissa has less to do with what she does inside the boxing ring and much more to do with how they believe she behaves outside of it. They point toward what they describe as mean girl behavior across social media and in private messages involving people she may know personally as well as complete strangers. They also reference allegations involving supposed coordinated attacks against other female celebrities and female boxers, claims that were reportedly raised by a former friend named Nigeria. According to those allegations, Clarissa allegedly encouraged people within her circle, including friends, family members, and supporters, to target other black women and black content creators online. So the argument being made here is that the controversy is not primarily about Clarissa's boxing ability at all, but about her behavior outside the ring and the way critics believe she has presented her personal relationships publicly. Critics also argue that she has repeatedly pushed a relationship with a married man into the public conversation when, in their view, there are plenty of single and available men she could choose instead. On top of that, they accuse her of giving inconsistent or misleading accounts about the timeline of when she and Papoose allegedly became involved, which has only created more suspicion and debate around the story. There are also criticisms surrounding claims about certain opponents, championship belts, and the reported attendance numbers connected to her fights. The numbers have appeared inconsistent depending on which report or source people look at, and that naturally raises questions because the actual attendance at a boxing event should not magically become a different number every time someone reports it. If the number of people physically inside the arena is known, then the basic figure should remain consistent rather than constantly moving up and down. So when you put all of these points together, that gives you at least a small sample of why some people say they do not support Clarissa, and according to these critics, it has nothing to do with her skin tone or her ability to win boxing matches. They point instead to what they describe as repeated inconsistencies, public involvement with married men, conflicts with other black women, and behavior they believe has contributed to the backlash surrounding her. And interestingly enough, critics also point out that Clarissa herself has previously suggested that some of her biggest haters were light-skinned black women, which raises another question about why she chose to frame the criticism through that particular racial lens. If you are repeatedly identifying light-skinned black women as a major source of opposition toward you, then people are naturally going to ask whether there is a deeper personal issue influencing how you view certain groups of women. And Stephen Jackson, considering your own relationship history and the fact that you went from being married to and engaged to women who were described as unambiguously black to now being married to someone described as racially ambiguous, I think that makes your argument about black women, colorism, and Clarissa Shields something that deserves much more scrutiny.